Welcome to this edition of the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce News and Views Show. I'm Diane, Sawyer, your host and the president of the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce. And today's guest we have with us City Manager Summer Woodard.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm excited to have you. And it's died down a little bit, but right before we went live, we were just saying, oh my goodness, the first thing we're going to talk about is Streetscape Project, because it is live and you may hear it throughout the show, and that's okay, because good hard work means good, hard, fun, beautiful changes. So tell us about where we are and what's going on.
Well, thank you so much. And yes, may get a little noisy, as you were alluding to earlier. Right before we started, we're definitely hearing Streetscape take place, but we're really excited. We are moving forward. We are still on task to be completed March of 2023, which it's hard to believe we're already almost here. But our public works crews have done an amount of work, and the quality and quantity is just immensible. Like, they are to be commended for all their hard work. But we are in full force. We've started with a lot of the new streetlights you saw up. The brick pavers are out. So we are still full force to move forward with our streetscape project, and still shooting for a March 2023 opening, so we can have the street back open. So
I think it's awesome. And I know you've done your own shows and gone into detail and that sort of thing, but just skimming over a few of the highlights. I think one of the things, I actually personally have a front row seat to the view, and watched them install the brick pavers in front of our doors yesterday, and just the amount of work and the amount of craftsmanship that goes into what they're doing. But I almost have like a brand new front porch. I'm so excited. Like, we were talking about what are we going to do with all that space? Like, we're going to have to make sure that we have a game plan for having that beautiful curb appeal and that sidewalk. Obviously, we typically put out flowers or, welcome signs or decorate at Christmas, and we'll talk about that. But I'm just really excited. Like, it's so pretty. And one of the things that I've noticed the most is how much the other block right now with the lights, the difference. It's so well lit, it's so pretty. I just can't wait to see what it looks like when it's all done.
No, it's very exciting, and I know, I'm glad you brought up the green space and the brick pavers, because it is a very craftsmanship. I do just want to remind our viewers, I know there's a little bit of change going on with the bump outs. It is a little bit of a new traffic pattern, but I can assure all viewers this has been ran through engineering, it's been stamped, it's been approved, they are safe. So please just bear with us as we go through this transition. The bump outs, the whole hope there is to slow traffic, down here as we move forward, and also hoping that traffic will slow down more and want to go and visit our stores. So please just bear with us on the bump outs. I know they're a little different, and they're a little maybe sometimes hard to maneuver, but I promise they are up to standards and specs with NCDOT.
Yeah, and I think what I want people to recognize that I've talked about is, well, so right, like, we're going for the matching look. So you're finally bringing it up to speed with how the Market Square area, how MLK, how all of that area, like, it's going to match. And that spot, I've always thought the MLK, like, since the time that I started working at the chamber and walking around the corner to the Fringe or to Blackbirds, it's so quaint and beautiful, and it just has that small town feel. So it's funny because when you took that forward and made that transition of, this is what we're going to do for the streetscape, like, I love it, because I think that piece of downtown is so beautiful. And what people don't understand, I mean, people are like, oh, there's less street. And I'm like, okay, but there's more green space. And for me, I watch these people. We have a front row seat. People fly up and down, speeding through town. And if you want it to be walkable, if you want that walkability factor, and if you want the retail factor, and you want the strolling through small town Main Street USA, what you're doing is going to create that. It's going to detour people who are just coming through. It's going to detour all the things that, like, we're trying to kind of scale back on, so that we can have that great hustle bustle downtown that's more walking, less traffic. I think it's phenomenal. I'm very excited about it.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. And I'm really glad you touched on that because like I said, I know it's a little bit different. It's a change, but we do feel like it'll be a positive change and it just connects so much of our downtown area together. So it's a uniformed look. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, where have you not been where everybody was like, construction? From Greensboro to New York City. I mean, you go, and if you're going anywhere with construction, everybody's like, construction. But when it's done, everybody forgets about, all the work it took to get there, and they're enjoying the new stuff. So I think it will be, it'll be well worth what you have just been through. So
thank you. We appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. So speaking of streetscape and speaking of how well lit it was, one of the times that I really noticed it was back during the hometown Christmas event. Let's talk about how that came around a second year and how it's grown even more and kind of what you think about that and what your future plans are.
Well, thank you. And I do want to thank our partnership with the Chamber on that and the RDC and all the hard work that the city staff does to create those. That is truly a team effort to create the displays, to have the wonderful tree lighting event. It takes all those different organizations working together to make it successful. And it was something a little bit different and out of the box this year. We really wanted to try and get more stuff throughout town and not just at Market Square. So of course we had some displays at Market Square, but we also wanted to create Whoville up here at Merrill Park to give some different aspects of bringing people down this way. And then we also went as far as to create the downtown doghouse into a living gingerbread house. It's just the perfect building to do that. And it really brought a big smile to my face on the night of tree lighting when I was walking down there, and to see the crowds down here at Merrill Park, to see them down there at the downtown doghouse and supporting our local businesses. Because the hope is they don't just come that night of the tree lighting, but they may see something throughout the year. They may have food, they may have saw something that they want for a significant other or a family member. And the goal and hope is they won't just visit that night, but they'll come back throughout the holiday season, maybe for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, because they saw something that they wanted or someone they knew would want. So that's a really positive feeling, is to see our town come alive at those type of events.
I think for me, on the back side of things, to watch, and again, we have the front door to watch your team come together, and for you to be right there in the thick of it with them, decorating and all the organization. Like it's almost like being an adult now. That's the magic of Christmas. Like we got to experience that and get to experience it so early. And I had a realization moment in the 2 years that we've been doing this now, and then we've kind of stepped up our game to kind of meet what you were doing. And people start fussing, they bring out the holiday stuff too early. And I was like, it finally hit me. I was like, you got people like us who are trying to create something for the general public or a retail store, and they're looking for something. Well, you've got to go backwards. And they've got, so Lowe's Home Improvement bringing out stuff in September, October. Well, it makes total sense because we're trying to, in November, have everything ready for December. And so it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. And I'm thankful for the camaraderie and the community that it creates leading up to it. And then like all the magic happens, and it's kind of early in the month. So then we can kind of, enjoy the rest of the season together. It's just fun. That's probably one of my favorite times of the year. And it's a lot of stress, like, hustle bustle, and it's a busy time at school. It's a busy time in the community, and the businesses are all trying to make that last dollar and have a successful year, but it's just something else to see. It is not,
and I'm glad you brought that up because it takes everyone working together to pull that off. It is, Chris Blankenship did a wonderful job providing the decorated trees that you saw at Whoville, the snow machines, the amazing ice castle that he created, and we had Elts in front of. So it's our small town businesses, it's our organizations that work together to pull that off for our residents, but also to put us as a tourism destination spot, to separate us from other entities in our county, to make people want to come over and explore Reidsville and see what we're offering.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Well, speaking of entities in Reidsville, it is the entities Sesquicentennial. Yes, 150th like celebration. Oh my gosh. How cool that we're all a part of that.
I'm so glad you said that, because it is very humbling that we're all part of that, because 150 years, and to be able to celebrate our city and the remarkability of our residents to get us to this moment has been so exciting. And I really appreciate, I know our team does, appreciate the Sesquicentennial Committee that has put all this together for this upcoming year, our partnership with the Chamber, and all of our sponsors. Like, the sponsorship that went in from our local businesses has been immaculate. I mean, we have Tri-State Steel, we have you as the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce, you have Short Sugars, Home Trust Bank, and Cone Health as our platinum sponsors, and there's so many other sponsors that are contributing, and it's a remarkable effort to bring us through this kickoff year. And to be part of the clock tower ribbon cutting, appreciate all your efforts to make that come true, and then the amount of work that our team, and especially the Sesquicentennial Committee, put into that first kickoff event. It's just amazing, and it's something to look forward to this entire year, because it's interesting in that the city didn't choose to just do one event. And I think you'll see with the calendar that you've got here that you can pick up free at City Hall. Just come by. We'll make sure that our businesses have them, the Chamber has them, all of our sponsors have them. But it is an entire year of different events. So it wasn't just a one-time event. So if you couldn't make it, that was it. It's throughout the month. We're also doing open houses. Next weekend is the open house at the wastewater treatment plant. And I encourage all of our viewers to come out and explore those open house events, because it truly gives you a different insight into exactly what the city of Reidsville does on a daily basis. It shows, the teamwork that goes into making sure that when we turn on the faucet, our water is clean and safe to drink. When you discard the water, it has somewhere to go that's treated. I mean, it's an amazing process to be able to come and see those facilities, because oftentimes we don't think about it, out of sight, out of mind. So it's a great kickoff event, and all the teamwork that went into there with so many different individuals and organizations, it's just really exciting to be part of.
It really is. And you know what I find to be really interesting? I'm a firm believer in that things happen for a reason, and that they happen within the time that they were supposed to. And it's so interesting to me to have been a part of things that the city was doing for so many years, and for them to all kind of culminate. And some of them were intended to happen this year, but some of them were not. And some of them were delayed by COVID. And now it's funny, like, out of the blue, these partnerships. So for the all-inclusive park, or for the splash pad, like, these are things that we've been talking about, but suddenly they're all going to happen now and celebrating this 150th year. And I just think that is so neat. And so you mentioned, and I think I've heard Assistant City Manager Chris Phillips, he had said, there's about an average of 2 events a month, and we've put them on our calendar as well. But people can come get a calendar. We've got them here at the Visitor Center. I also know they're available at City Hall, and they're available in other places. I do think that if you were at all interested in history, if you were at all, want to know anything, please, come get this calendar and try to join some of these open houses and these events and things, because it's going to be really cool. And there's going to be things that are open to the public that wouldn't normally be open to the public. Kind of like Leadership Rockingham, when we tour things, like, those things don't happen often or for the general public.
A very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, the more any individual that's interested, come out and explore, because especially from the historic side, it's remarkable to be able to have all these things to reflect back on and then see where we're going to move forward in the future. And as I've heard so many of our teammates say, 2023 is a busy year for the city of Reidsville, because I think you alluded to it perfectly. There were projects that kind of came about, like our streetscape, but there's also projects that were kind of on the back burner because of COVID. And it's like 2023 is a busy year and something we can all look back and our citizens take part of and be proud of, that's part of their community in the events and in some of the structures and different infrastructure that's being created, not just for us in this current generation, but for future generations to come.
Absolutely. And I think it is just, it's just cool. Like if you're at all like a history buff, or like if you're interested, it blows my mind to think, and then you're going to bury the time capsule, and just to be a part of any of that stuff, and to be able to tell future generations, hey, we were a part of this. And I think Chris alluded to it when we talked about it before. He's like, this is our birthday. Like this is our celebration, So it's just a really cool like time, I think. So, well, tell us about, we've talked about the streetscape, and we've talked about the 150th, and we've talked about some different projects, and one of those coming up, we've talked about it, but it's almost ready, the all-inclusive park. Where are we at with that, and what does that look like?
So I'm glad you asked that. As we can hear construction out here, I encourage all of our viewers, if you ride by City Hall and look in the back parking lot, it is a construction zone to the fullest right now. So not only do you have our crews working downtown, but we have started moving dirt, doing field work at the all-inclusive park. A lot of the material has arrived. There was such a long lead time on getting some of that equipment. So the majority has arrived, so we've started trying to kick that process off and trying to meet our March deadline. So we're very excited. So not only if you drive downtown, but if you go behind City Hall and you're wondering what in the world is all this dirt tore up and mounds of dirt, that is the all-inclusive park starting to come together. So it's really exciting to see that. And I think it will offer such a unique opportunity for our residents, but also for visitors and citizens in other areas to come to this all-inclusive park, because the only other one I know that I think I'm aware of is there's one in Greensboro, but how cool is it to have the first one in Rockingham County? So we're really excited for that, because again, not just for the residents here, but again, I think it will be a benefit to anyone in Rockingham County to come explore this park.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really phenomenal how the partnerships came together to make that possible.
And without those partnerships, it wouldn't be possible. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because it just all paired so nicely with Rotary's celebration this year, the Kiwanis celebration this year, Reidsville Area Foundation. All of those sponsors made this possible. So it's cooler to be able to say we all worked together and pulled this off. And I think that speaks volume to our motto, Team Reidsville is everyone. It's not just the city and city staff. It is every member in our community that makes up that team, and that's a team we're all proud of. And it's just remarkable when you can reflect back and see what we accomplished as that team working together, as opposed to working against each other.
Absolutely. It's just interesting to me how everything, it really is, how it's all coming together. So, well, what do you have on the horizon that you want to talk about? What else is going on that you want to maybe share with our viewers?
So budget. So we are getting ready to start kicking off our budget planning process. We do have our city council retreat coming up at the end of February, where that'll kind of set the stage of some of the budget priorities that mayor and city council would like to see this year. So for the next probably 6 months, you'll see us pretty deep in budget process. And that's such a great roadmap to what projects will come out for July 1st of 2023. And then of course, we're diligently working on the splash pad, trying to get all those materials here. We're affected just like everyone else is with supply and demand issue and long wait times. So just continuing to foster that relationship that we have with our suppliers, with our splash pad, but still moving forward with that. Again, fingers crossed for a late spring, early summer opening. Definitely going to try and get it as soon as possible. So we're really excited. We also, I do want to, give a shout out to all of our local businesses that did participate throughout the holiday season and some of the really great marketing. I think without our downtown merchants and merchants throughout the city of Reidsville, none of this would be possible because there's such great cheerleaders for Team Reidsville, and they're an instrumental part of our team. So I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to all of our merchants throughout the city of Reidsville and all their support in through some of this crazy construction and working with us and being so understanding, because we know it's a burden to listen to construction all day or even try and go out your front door. So we appreciate everyone seeing the larger picture in what we're trying to accomplish with safety and aesthetics and just making our city even more inviting than it already is.
I don't know about other people, but to me, it just reminds me, we had our basement at home waterproofed 2 years ago now. And when they came in, oh my gosh, it was a mess, but it was really intriguing to me. Like, one of the things they do is they drill holes and the water is relieved, that pressure that's built up. And to me, like, it's gratifying to watch the process and to know that through the construction and through the dirt, there's going to be this great thing. And last night we had a large storm come through and I could hear my pump going off, but I knew that my basement was dry. And to me, like, when you put on a deck, when you do a front porch, when you do an addition, when you put on a garage, like, to me, it's any of those things. It's exactly what we have going on out here. Like, yes, it's a mess right now, but it's going to be so worth it in the end. So I'm just thankful to the leadership and the vision that the city has, and the way that, I think that you're doing a really phenomenal job of trying to bring together this effort of Team Reidsville that we've been doing for so long. And sometimes when you start down a path like that, it's really great when it's new, and then you kind of wane a little bit, and you've been able to kind of bring that back and start to. And the mayor, oh my gosh, I love to hear him talk about Team Reidsville, because he's always like, and he gets it right. Gosh, him is a Packers fan, but he gets like the team concept, and so I think that to hear him talk about that, I love how we all work together, the merchants and the RDC and the chamber and the city and all of our businesses. And if we can continue to make people understand that all they have to do is pick up the phone. All they have to do, they can call me, they can call you, and like, we're going to figure it out. We're going to make sure that we get to that end goal, whatever it is they're trying to achieve. And that's what I tell people, the chamber. I'm like, our mission is to be community champions for the businesses, and to be a voice for the businesses. But at the end of the day, my bottom line is whatever their bottom line is. That's how we're going to accomplish things. And I know you feel the same way about the citizens and the businesses. And so I just really think, like, the more we continue to talk about it and people hear us say, you and I, we just did this yesterday. Like, we meet monthly for lunch to say, how can I help you? What can we do? Where are things at? Did those things I set in motion a month ago, are they moving forward? What do I need to follow up on? Because if we don't, things can't continue to move forward. So I'm just really thankful, and I love that you're willing to take time out of your super busy schedule on a monthly basis. And it's not like you're not already on camera a million other times or on a podcast, but to just come and let our businesses hear how much you're willing to do and partner and be that positive influence, but also be a hard worker. Like, I've never seen anybody like you when I turn around and you're right there in the thick of it with your team. Like, whatever, if there's a big project going on, you were out there, and like your team. Josh is out here all the time, like figuring out, like, he's standing there going, what's going on? What's the problem? How can I help? Are you guys okay? And so I just think if we continue to foster that, I think things will continue to improve, and we'll continue to see there's a ton of growth. I think it'd be great if you and I could speak to Jeff, and I have done this before, but we're in a time right now where Cookout is steadily and Starbucks is open.
I know.
And so, you know, I've seen a lot of negative comments about both. And I think for me, I'd love to address them. And if you're comfortable us addressing them. So for me, first of all, you know, people are worried about our hometown places. We actually have more than one hometown place. In this vicinity, I can think of at least 3 that you can go get coffee that is not even, or actually 4 if you can, or, well, I could continue. There's a lot of places because even Biscuitville has started doing a coffee or whatever, but McDonald's does coffee. But people are worried about our downtown merchant and our hometown sip. And people are going to continue to support them. People are going to continue to have meetings there. It's walkable for downtown. And I just, and the same thing with Cookout. People are starting to figure out or find out that it's not dine-in. Well, Cookout has gone away from their dine-in model. They are no longer building those because it doesn't work for them. And I will tell people COVID's a big part of that because a lot of restaurants found, I mean, PG's is still drive-through only because they just can't manage the things that they need to do or the staff that they need to have to manage that restaurant. So for me, the other thing is people don't understand, but like negative social media is not good for us because all over companies are looking and they're looking, and if we check boxes but then they see how negative people are, they're not going to come here. And Cookout and Starbucks in the same time frame is a big deal for us. And knowing that the casino is opening 20 minutes from the heart of Reidsville in Danville, it's going to make the exits and anything around the exits, and that's designated completely and done as I-785, it's going to be huge, and Reidsville is going to transform. And so I kind of want you to speak to it a little bit too, because I feel like I've said it and I continue to say it, but tell me about, like, from a city perspective, all of those things that I was talking about, like what you think about that.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think it all goes back to communication. So many times we are quick to make assumptions. And I think that goes back to communication and accessibility. And I know I appreciate the role that the chamber plays, also the role that the city plays, our elected officials. In that, if any of our viewers have ever any questions about, you know, why is Cookout dine-in only? Please, we're all public servants. We work for you. Please pick up the phone, send an email. Reach out. We'll be glad to address that. There may be things we hadn't thought of, or, you know, but I think open communication is key because we are such an inviting town. And I think the more positivity we can put out there, we're even more attractive. And you're right, we are growing and we have to embrace that growth. We don't want to get behind in that growth because that growth brings us jobs, it brings us infrastructure, it brings us a means to be able to support what we have to offer in this beautiful town. And that includes our small businesses, our family-owned businesses. It's because of you, we've made it 150 years. It is because of those individuals, but we also have to be open to growth and change. Change is not easy, growth is not easy, but we've got to put a positive spin on it. And if at any time you've got those questions, I just hope everyone realizes that we do have avenues for you to reach out to us or other organizations and say, hey, what's going on with this? I heard this was happening. I know there was some confusion a while back about Starbucks and that there was not a Starbucks coming that had already sold. And you know, that was not the case at all. So I think it's just, if we could all be more loving and respectful towards one another and have an open dialogue, because I hope our viewers and listeners know that we at the city, along with the chamber and our organizations, we work for you. We're here to listen and help. We don't ever want to see you frustrated on social media or going down the highway uncertain of what your city's doing. We believe in transparency, and I just hope that everyone will reach out when they do have those questions so we can all continue to have that positive image of our beautiful town that's got us to this 150th year mark.
Absolutely. The last thing I will say, because we have run out of time, and you know, we've got next month and the next month and probably the next month to talk about. We don't determine what private businesses do, and you don't determine what private businesses do. There's obviously codes and permits and things that they have to do, but as far as like who buys a building, we have no control over that, unless of course it were owned by us or owned by you. And, you know, I think people are, one of the comments I saw was, well, we need more dine-in restaurants, or we need more meat and vegetables. Folks, we are aware. Like, we know, we talk about it all the time. But there have to be people, there has to be money, there has to be the franchise willing to come, there has to be somebody willing to open their own local restaurant. We are working on a project, and we are really excited about it. And there will be more to come about that said project. We've got a little bit of time, but just know, like, we work on it as much as we absolutely can, but we cannot make restaurants open here. So, you know, if you know people, you know things, you want to make connections, reach out and call us, because those are the kinds of things we work on behind the scenes. And, you know, we hope to have announcements about things soon. So, I'm thankful for your partnership, thankful for you to come on the show and share your updates and your views and things on just everything that's related to the city. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure, and I appreciate our partnership and our friendship. So
absolutely. Thank you too. And we will see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that is it for today's episode of the News and Views. As always, you can find us in the heart of downtown Reidsville at 140 South Scale Street. Give us a call or find us on our website, www.reidsvillechamber.org, or find us on social media. And we'll see you soon.